Welcome, friends, to the Montessori Mission. I am Charlotte from Enriching Environments, and I'm so delighted for you all to have joined me here today. This is a unique podcast series focusing on 10 Montessorians from around the world. And I'm going to ask everyone in each of these 10 interviews the same 10 questions to gain 10 different perspectives from 10 different communities and the work that they do in those communities. So here we are in episode 1 of this podcast series. I'm feeling really full of adrenaline and have my heart full of love and bursting with excitement and nerves and all of those things. And I'm so delighted that today, for episode 1, I have Jean-Marie Paynel, who has joined me, so kindly joined me for episode 1, as our parenting mentor. And Jean-Marie has a great story of how she came to be a Montessorian. She has had a passion for babies and young children all of her life. And she came to Montessori, or Montessori found her, whichever way us Montessorians like to look at it, when she was pregnant with her first child. She then became, after following that path, she became a 3 to 6 educator first, then 0 to 3. And then her current vision and role and how she's giving her gifts to the world through mindfulness, minimalism, and Montessori, that came about from speaking to parents of children who were in her classrooms. And she realized that they were all asking for guidance, for further guidance of what can we do at home to support the child. And these parents were seeing how much their children were thriving in this beautiful, peaceful community at school. And they wanted to bring these values through to their home environments. And then through that, as we know, we can uplift communities if we have lots and lots of families practicing this at home. And so this is how she came to be a parenting mentor. And so, with decades of experience and a huge, huge heart, Jean-Marie is with us today, and she has she's one of those people with that magical quality of making you feel at ease when you first meet her or speak to her. I've never met her in person. We've just Zoomed, which I guess is normal life in the world we're living in today. But she has such a huge heart and with so much experience and insight to share. Welcome and thank you for joining me today, Jean-Marie.
Thank you. That was very sweet. And I think I need to hire you to do all my intros because that was just, you wrapped that up just perfectly um, where yes, my passion is really to empower parents to really be able to parent with confidence and with knowledge. And I know that, doing my trainings in Montessori, like you said, for me, that just, it was so rich in just information and encouragement to really follow our own instincts, but really to trust that our children would show us the way. And I think, it's just so important to remind ourselves of that. And I think Montessori does that for us. At least it did for me. So as you said, I discovered Montessori 25 years ago because my daughter is going to be 25 this summer. And I just picked up one book that was L'Enfant, which is translated, I think, The Discovery of Childhood. And, it was, I'm going to date myself, but it was before Google where we would, investigate and all of this. And I just read this one book that was just so eye-opening in what the child needed and what I had to expect becoming a parent. And it really gave me that tool that I think is so important, is to trust ourselves and to trust our child, which is so important. And the observation, and I really entered parenting that way of trusting that my child would show me what she needed me to be, who she needed me to be, what she needed from me. And it was just, I really wanted to be a mother for a long time. I became a mother kind of later than I had planned. and such. And I think I was just so enthralled with following this little human being who was
Mm,
rediscovering the world, and I know you work a lot with toddlers and how you talk about their wonder and just their excitement and just, to feel the wind in your face for the first time. And you just kind of re-experience all of that with your child. And and it was beautiful. And it's not until she was 8 years old and I had a second child that I did go back to school. I left my corporate career as a graphic designer behind and went back to school to do a master's in Montessori education, to do my
wow.
AMI diplomas. And it's the best thing I ever did. I mean, people
Mm,
probably thought I was crazy at the time. At one point I did wonder when I ended up in a classroom with 25 little humans and I was like, what am I doing here?
it's quite
I
something,
had,
isn't it?
oh my goodness.
The
And I had,
first classroom.
here I was I had kind of, gone up the ranks in this corporate world. So I had my private office and all this, and I traded a private office for a stool in a room full of
Tiny
children.
school, yeah.
And at one point I was like, oh my gosh, I am crazy. But they taught me so much.
Mm,
And what I think happened from that is that parents really were coming to me. So, I've always wondered, is it that I was an older guide? I already had my children, so there was, some sort of maturity that attracted them to me, and they just were full of questions of, what can I do at home? Why is my child acting this way? And really, they were really taken aback at how different their child was in the Montessori environment as they were at home. And here I was teaching in a model classroom at a training center, so it's all behind, one-way windows. So we had a lot of parents always observing, and when I would walk out into the
wow.
hallway, they were always mesmerized as, oh my gosh, they clean up, they prepare food, they can, they're being social,
Mm,
all of this that they
mm,
weren't doing at home. And what
mm,
I realize is because the parents don't have the information that we have as trained guides. And that has been my mission, is that this is important, valuable information that every parent on the planet needs to have. If we want to evolve as a society, if we want to evolve humanity, if we want to have peace on planet Earth, it is through education, and it starts with our parents because they are the ones raising the next generation. And it's interesting because just the other day I was talking to somebody and she said that the work that I do, so the work that you do, that I do, that all of us are doing, working with children, we're not only affecting them, we are affecting 7 generations to come.
yeah,
So
amazing.
that is big
Yeah,
work, right? When you
yeah,
think of it that way, like, okay, I've got a mission here.
yeah.
And I've always said my mission is peace on earth, but I'm doing it my way of, working with the children and their parents. So yeah, yeah.
Wow. There is so much there. Thank you so much. That was really rich. All of that that you gave to us. Thank you so much. It's so true, isn't it? The parents. It's almost like demystifying our children, their children, isn't it, for them? They seem like a mystery, these gorgeous little bundles of energy and fire and and drive and determination. And we're able to unpick this and demystify it for parents so they can, as you said, learn to observe and learn to trust their inner wisdom and um, all of those things. So the work is
And, and,
evolving humanity.
and more importantly to me, it's always just reminding them that they were once children themselves.
Yeah.
And I think we forget that, and that in our hearts we still are children. All of the the self-development and all of this thing always comes back to childhood, to those first experience and all that. And oftentimes, it's like working on your inner child,
Mhm.
all of this, it always
Yeah.
comes back to that what Dr. Montessori coined as the absorbent mind. I mean, that those first 6 years are everything, is the foundation. And that's why, to me, I put so much focus there, and working with expectant parents and parents of young children, because it's really there where there's going to be that understanding that this child that we have is also an adult in the making, that
Yeah.
we have to kind of change our perception of who this human being is. And I know you know this, but yesterday I was actually at a birth. I do some volunteer doula work, and I'm always, I mean, it's just so, I feel like it's just such beautiful
Mm.
work to be able to be in the presence of
Mm.
this divine being.
Creation. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And just, seeing this newborn of, a few minutes, and just her eyes looking around, and it's like, here is another opportunity.
Yeah.
And just, they come to us so ready, so hungry, so, ready to know everything, but so pure. And that is the pureness that I want parents to remember in their own hearts, really.
Yeah. Oh, that's gorgeous. I love it. In our own hearts. So, are we ready for the 10 questions? Do you feel ready? Shall we dive
I
in?
I am. I did not study them, so I'm just gonna go poof. I know you have
There's,
some good
there's,
ones, so.
yes, there's some, I think, easier ones, and in the middle, there's a little bit of a sandwich in the middle, which can be quite challenging. So, it's such a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much. And let's dive into the Montessori mission. So, question one of this special podcast series is, what does Montessori mean to you?
What does Montessori mean to me? Montessori has been, for me, the understanding of human development, really a guide to understanding our children's needs, our human needs, but really a very concrete and um, very, very uncomplicated, like very simple way of understanding human development. I mean, there's plenty of complexities that come into it, but just how it is so basic, and just this understanding that the newborn child, even the child in utero, comes to us just so ready
Mm,
to soak in information, to be guided and such. And so for me, it is way more than a way of educating. It is really a way of life. It is a way of understanding life, and really understanding human development with its beautiful tools of observation, of understanding that um, children, like I say, come to us just so willing, so rich, so pure, that it is our role to guide them along, because the only difference is that we've just been on planet Earth a little longer than they have.
yeah,
If we can see ourselves as equals, and really be there to guide them and say, hey, here, let me show you. I discovered this while you were while you
yeah,
were getting ready to come.
yeah.
Is just, it just kind of, I think, just simplifies it, and just makes it so much richer, and kind of takes a lot of the stress and the overwhelm that I feel parents have these days.
That's so good. Yeah, it takes the pressure off
Hmm.
parents. Yeah, just
Yes.
the simplicity of understanding what their child needs, as you say, the basic needs, understanding what
Yes.
it means,
Yes.
allowing our child to experience the joy and the wonder of the world. And as you said, it's two-way, isn't it? Our we can show our children the joy and the wonder of the world, but actually we have this gift of being able to experience the joy and the wonder of the world through them. And that's
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
the okay. Question two. They're going to get harder as we go through, I promise. So, what was your first light bulb moment on your Montessori journey?
So I think it was when that very day when my life took a big turn. So just to very briefly, I had been a graphic designer for over 20 years, working in advertising in both Paris and here in San Diego, where I had moved with my family. And we were with my husband, we were contemplating moving back to Europe and such. And I just did not feel satisfied kind of pitching myself as a graphic designer, and I really had to have a conversation with myself of, okay, so what would you want to do? And it
Mm,
came back to the children, because ever since I was a young teenager, I have always delighted in being in the presence of children. All of my volunteer jobs as a young teenager were in daycares or at,
mhm.
children's museums or whatever. And so that's when I called the Montessori Institute here in San Diego, and they told me to come in the next morning because they had already started their session. It had been a week, and there really wouldn't be a session until the following fall. So, it wasn't like a college where there would be a winter semester or whatever.
Yeah.
And they said, well, come in, tomorrow morning to meet the director. And so I went in, and actually that moment when I hung up the phone, I knew that, my life was going to take a big turn. Uh,
Wow.
it really, I mean, I actually called a friend of my mother's, because my mother had already passed a few years before that. And I remember calling a friend of hers and just crying, of knowing that, it was kind of cry of like, I don't know, a message or something, that
Mm.
something big was going to happen.
Oh, wow.
And it was really about, follow your heart. And
Mm.
so I calmed down. I went in at 8 o'clock that morning, met the director, who is, some of you might know, Dr. Dubovoy. uh, and she asked me, why are you here? Why have you come? And I said, well, I really believe that children are way more capable than we give them credit for. And she looked at me, she goes, you've come to the right place.
Oh, wonderful.
So that was part of it. But the real kind of aha for me was, she invited me to come into the lecture that she was about to give that morning. And it just so happened to be about the development of movement. So natural development, movement, the freedom of movement that we give the Montessori child. And as I was listening to the lecture, I realized that I had done that for my children without knowing, right? I had really
Wow.
followed that instinct. So thank goodness to that one book I had read, but I had really followed her, because I remember when we lived in Paris, we lived on the fifth story of apartment building with no elevator, and she would kind of wrangle out of my arms to be able to crawl up those 5 flight of stairs.
Mm.
This was, she wasn't walking yet, but she just was
Wow.
determined. And I would let her do it. And so in that lecture, that was the light bulb, like, yes, this is what it's all
Wow.
about. It's really about following the child. And it was, yeah, that was a big aha for me. So thank
Oh,
you for the reminder.
yeah. And your lucky daughter having all of that amazing movement, climbing up those.
Exactly.
How many
Exactly.
stairs was it to go up to the fifth floor? That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, 5 flight of stairs, it was a lot. You had to be patient. You had to
Yeah,
wait. So,
yeah,
I would sometimes go up ahead of her to drop off the groceries and come back down and wait for her. But you could see just this, you know, enthusiasm and commitment and determination that she had that was so important.
so true. The child always shows us.
Yes.
Thank you. So moving on to question 3. In what ways does Montessori enrich the families that you work with and hence into the wider community?
So for me, it is really this permission to follow your instincts.
Mm.
It's really, and I had a big kind of aha very early into, when I decided to offer home consultations. I remember going to a home of a family who had an 18-month-old, and only mom and the boy were home. And I remember her asking me, we were looking around in the kitchen, and she said, I really would like to give him the peeler and zucchinis because he just seems so, eager to help. And I said, of course, yes, that is just perfect. And just I remember this look on her face of like relief that, yes,
Mm.
she could, it was almost, and I realized at that moment that I was just only being of kind of this one, just giving the permission, or not
Mm.
really permission, because I don't feel that's too strong, but almost just like that encouragement of, yes, of course you can follow your instinct. It's like, duh, but families do need that
Yes,
loving encouragement of,
yeah,
you have it in your heart.
yes,
We it might not be maternal or paternal instinct, but it is that instinct. And that's what I was saying earlier, is remembering what our child would have wanted at that moment, right? And just, if we can really remember that. So, my mission in working with parents is to really helping them let go of the overwhelm and that stress and that kind of restriction that they
mm,
feel, that they need to be the perfect parent and such. It's like, no, just enjoy this moment. this is
yeah,
this is a miraculous time in your life, in your child's life. Be present, follow your child, and relearn, this is a new opportunity for you to rewire certain things, and take advantage of it.
yeah. That's beautiful. That journey of self-discovery, if we are open to it, we can have our own journey of self-discovery as our child. Particularly, with young children, there's nowhere to hide because they are all there all the time. And so,
and
as you
and
say,
and
we
I
can,
and it's not always easy. And I will be perfectly clear with that, where some of us might, it might trigger some wounded child in
mm,
us. It might, bring up traumas that we had forgotten and all this. But that's what I mean. It's also an opportunity to clear some of that up. You have a brand new, you know clean, pure, loving heart in front of you, and it's
yeah,
like, let them guide you.
yeah,
Put all the other stuff behind. Like, those were the cards that you were dealt, but let's deal them a new a
yeah.
new set of cards, and use that at the opportunity to clear those up. Yeah.
That's so profound. We can be the bridge, hey? We can, with our child, we can be the bridge. And it was so interesting you said earlier about we are healing 7 generations forward. But quite recently, I've read actually when we work on our own stuff, we heal 7 generations behind, from our ancestors.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
really interesting that, as you said, in terms of evolution, we're at this moment in time to be this bridge. at a really strange time in the world for a lot
Yes,
of people.
yes.
But yeah, you're so right. There's so much healing to be had, and if we can let go and be in the present moment, then magic can happen.
Exactly. And that the only way we can do that is to really follow our children because they are in the present moment. There is no other moment for them. They're right here, right now. So if we can really,
Yeah.
follow that lead and like Dr. Shafali, I don't know if you know the conscious parent, she writes
Yes.
about our
Oh,
children
love that.
being, yeah, our children being our little Buddhas, really.
Mm,
And if we can really, you know, let go of that ego that tells us, it has
mhm.
to be this way or that way, and we can really, whew, you know, be here right now with them. It just makes it so much more joyful and miraculous. So yes.
For sure. So moving on to the four juicy questions we've got in the middle, okay? The first, so the fourth question is, what was the first time a child taught you something about yourself that you weren't aware of? And in that, I mean either through observation, you noticed something and you had a reaction, something was triggered, as we were just speaking about, or maybe with a direct interaction with the child, you realized something that you weren't aware of. When was the first time you can recall that happening?
When I was in my training, there are hours that you have the opportunity to teach in someone else's classroom. And I was in a 3 to 6 classroom and working with a 4-year-old little girl. And I don't know, we were doing something, and I said something about, yes, sweetie, very lovingly, yes, sweetie.
Mhm.
I'm not sweetie. My name is Charlotte. And I remember that very strong will of like,
Yeah.
how dare you call me
Mhm.
sweetie? And it was for me this really, like she put a mirror up to me of that was disrespectful of
Yeah.
me. And we are taught to be in the presence of the divine and to be a prepared adult to be in our presence. And she just reminded me, like, hello,
Yes.
this is, you are not. And it was just so pure, so strong. and
Mm.
and I apologized. I said, of course, yes, your name is Charlotte. I'm sorry, I should not call you sweetie. And it was, it just made total sense. And I know we had talked about it in our training and all of this, but we tend to, I call everybody my love and my children and all
Mhm.
of this, but this was not my child. and
Yes.
and how dare I call her sweetie?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a good one. Yes.
That's wonderful, and that was her boundary, hey? And how
Ex-
powerful when a 4-year-old knows their boundaries like that. I mean, that is what I see with the children I work with and with my own children. Their boundaries are rock solid from a very young age, and that's really powerful, I think.
and that's so important that you say that, because I think that an adult might see that as how
Mm.
how rude or whatever. But no, it's like they we should learn from them to set those own boundaries for ourselves, right?
Mm.
We let people call us sweetie or my love or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's just learning to respect that and to not let our own ego get into, like, who is this
Yeah.
4-year-old talking to me this
Yes.
way? No, it's like, this is an adult in the making who is saying, like, wait a minute, my name is not sweetie, and
Yes.
you need to call me by my name. And how wonderful that she was able
Yeah.
to do that. So yes.
How powerful is that? And as
Mm,
you said earlier about if we are going to create a new world, if we are raising consciousness, if we are evolving, then we need to respond differently. We need our children. We need different types of people who are going to be standing up to big corporations, standing up against injustices that we see in the world and unfairness and all of these things, and fighting for social equality, all of these things. So we need to be responding differently, and we need to have children who are so strong in their boundaries. Yeah, it's amazing. I'd love to meet little 4-year-old Charlotte now and see what she's doing in the world. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it, to know where she
It
is
would
now?
be. It would be. Yes.
And so, question 5 is the same question, but when was the last time you were with a child that taught you something about yourself, either through observation or direct interaction? So, the last time.
Uh, I don't know. I feel like I'm learning every day. Just being in the presence of this birthing child yesterday
Mm,
was just amazing. Of how profound the whole. So it wasn't really about me as an individual, but more of how we have this new opportunity every time, and just the delight in the parents welcoming this child and everything. But no, I don't know, can I skip that one?
mhm. Of course you can. Well, I think that's an amazing. I mean, I've got goosebumps. Just you saying the parents meeting their child for the first time. I mean, that's enough to give me goosebumps. So I think the answer you've
Yeah.
given is actually
and
perfect.
and and, and to be honest, like, I had my children 25 years ago and 21 years ago, and I'm just blown away by how the birthing world has evolved, and
Mm,
how the fathers have evolved. Every
mm,
birth that I have gone to, the fathers of the children are so attentive, so there. I mean,
mm,
this father was just such a delight. At one point I said, "You are just a marvelous doula. Like, I don't need to be here," because he was just so attentive to being there for her.
mm.
And it was just beautiful. So we are evolving in a
Yeah.
good way. Yeah.
Wow, that's brought tears to my eyes. Actually, that's really lovely. And so, question 6 is is really the juicy one. Okay, so when was the last time a child caught you out of integrity and questioned you on it?
Oh my goodness. My own children,
Hmm.
I think they have a way of saying, yes, but mom, you you don't always do it this way. Or
Yes.
my son particularly, he's pretty good at kind of um saying, but you promised, or
Mm,
and it's true. It makes you rethink, like, oh my gosh, did I really say that? Like, and
yes.
you kind of, you have to keep your word. Keep your word to yourself, keep your word to them. So I don't have any specific specific uh one to share. They've been gone from the house for a while now. But it's just that. And again, I think it is so important for us to kind of lower our ego self of, like, how dare you talk to me this way, but really hear what they have to say, and question your own integrity. And it's like, you might have a point. Sometimes they don't, because they're just trying to get away with something. But we have to kind of say, oh my gosh, you're you're doing a really good job. Like, you have a good argument.
Yeah.
That the I
Yeah.
love you, and the answer is still no. But
Yeah.
but they do have a way of putting a mirror up to you, of having to kind of reevaluate how you've been handling a situation, whether it is, vis-a-vis yourself, your friends, your children. And it's important, I think, for us to be honest with ourselves, because we tend to go in a more of a defensive mode of like, I'm the adult here, how, yes, I know what I'm talking about, but we don't always. And it's okay to admit that, okay, my child might have a point. So yes.
Wonderful. And actually, my next question is, how did you explain yourself when you were out of integrity? But you've already answered that, actually, haven't you? By saying, it's self-examination, isn't it? And checking that we are in integrity and
I think
humility when we make a mistake.
Exactly. Because I was going to say, it is very, very important for us to be able to tell our child, I've made a mistake. I'm learning each and every day alongside you. And I'm going to make some mistakes. You're going to make some mistakes. And these all mistakes are opportunities for us to learn to do better the next time. So to be able to admit to a child, whether they are your child or somebody else's child, to be able to admit, I am learning, I am a human being, I make mistakes, I am sorry, I'm trying to do better every day. I might need your help in doing that. That is so important in like you say, that humility of being okay with making mistakes. I mean, I make mistakes every day, and it's okay. We learn from them. That's how we grow. And I think if we can model that to our children, it's going to help them, in the world, because we tend to be such, perfectionist and wanting to get everything right, and get ulcers over it, and it's just not worth it. So
So true. So
yeah.
true. And it's a Western society phenomenon as well, isn't it? Because other cultures and societies don't have this obsession with perfectionism in the same way that we do. Um, and I agree that humility, and I think what that gives our children from that is the gift of self-compassion. We can show them so powerfully, and I know one of the first conversations we had was about self-compassion, wasn't it? And showing ourselves radical self-compassion. That is really powerful, that we can show to our children from a very young age that when we make a mistake, we're not berating ourselves, we're not beating ourselves up, we're not blaming. But no, we take responsibility, but we know that we're learning, as we say, and we are evolving, and we're doing the best we can. Everyone's doing the best they can at that time, and that feels like that's a quantum leap anyway. To
Exactly.
actually apologize to our children is a quantum leap of a generation. I think, speaking from my own parents, who are wonderful, but there's not any way on earth they would be apologizing to me about anything. So I think it's a huge
Yeah.
shift.
Yeah.
So question 8 is going to be a really tricky one for all Montessorians, and I know as soon as I ask this, everyone watching or listening, their brains are going to be whirring as to their question, as their answer to this question. So what is your favorite Dr. Montessori quote? Or maybe I should say, what is your favorite Dr. Montessori quote right now in this present moment? Because there's probably hundreds of favorites, right?
There are 100 favorites, and the last time we talked, I shared a different one that I'm going to share with you today.
Wow, and that was only 5 days ago, so.
Because it relates more to the work that I do. And it is, we must help the child to act for himself, will for himself, think for himself. This is the art of those who aspire to serve the spirit.
Mm.
It is taken from Education for a New World.
Oh, wow.
And to
There's more of
me,
those
that
goosebumps.
is, yeah, and that is, what I've been saying about how it is we get a opportunity every time we are in the presence of children to see things newly, to give them the tools to act for themselves, will for themselves. You know, how often do I work with parents who tell me, oh, my child is strong-willed, and I say, that's wonderful. You are so lucky. You have
What
a
meant to be
child who
like.
knows what they want in life. That is wonderful. But you know, so it's
Mm,
really, to me, and I do feel that you know, I do aspire to serve the spirit of a loving, peaceful humanity. So yes.
mm. Serving the spirit, that is just delicious, isn't it? That is
It is.
wonderful.
Oops.
Really, really magical.
So my phone is about to die. Hold on a second here. Can I change it? Oops, sorry.
It's okay.
Are you still here?
I'm still here. I don't have video, but I do have audio. We have two more questions, so probably maybe 5 more minutes.
Okay, it's just I got a message that my battery was about to die. So let's
And
see.
yeah,
Okay,
usually when that happens, it goes pretty quickly.
yeah.
Um, so, question 9. What is your deepest desire for Montessori in the future?
Oh my goodness. I would like that uh, all ministries of education around the world um, integrate Montessori principles in modern day education. I think that education as a whole needs to be completely revamped. We are
Mm,
on a 19th century model. We
yeah.
are now in the 21st century,
Mm,
and we need to really kind of take it apart and rebuild it for our future generations that are being asked to solve a lot of problems, a lot
yes.
of issues.
Yeah.
We are, you know, where our children are going to be asked to really think outside the box. And for that, they are going to need really tools of adaptation. And I really believe that Montessori education with other, you know, with other mixtures, but that we really need to kind of get away from this, you know, factory uh churning out good little workers is no longer, you know, what we need. We're seeing that, you know, the new child that is coming to us is just expanded in so many different ways that I think we need to prepare ourselves to prepare ourselves much better. So really that Montessori be integrated a lot more into education all over the world. I know some countries are doing it. I know some, you know, states are doing it here in the US and everything, but really like, you know, deeper work into understanding what our children really need from us.
Wouldn't that be extraordinary? Or not, won't that be extraordinary
Oh,
when
and
that
I
happens?
see it. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. You know, I see it evolving. It's taking, you know, it's taking time, but you know, it was just 100 years ago, and we're you know, progressively going. I mean, I see just, you know, you and I. Look at you and I met thanks to Dr. Montessori on you know, Montessori Everywhere for her 150th birthday this past
Yes.
summer in a Zoom room.
Yes.
You know, and to
It's
me
just
that was
extraordinary.
exactly. So I know that there's, you know, there is, and I see it, you know, with people all over. But if we can just keep that vision of really integrating what she the tools that she gave us uh, into modern day education for everyone will be great progress for humanity.
Wonderful.
Hmm.
Wow, what a vision. And so, what do you see as your role in achieving this? Question
Uh,
10.
Really to continue doing the work that I do in empowering parents to learn to observe their children, to really learn to follow their child, to advocate for their child's education.
Yeah.
Um, I work with a lot of families who aren't necessarily have their children in Montessori schools, or, they might be homeschooling, or just different ways. But I really, I try to empower them as much as possible to have the tools to, go back to their schools and ask questions and kind of, not take just everything they say at face value,
Yeah.
and really to advocate for their children and to advocate for themselves. Like for me, the work that I do is really bringing peace in the home, really, and that's where world peace starts, is at home with our own children. So if we can have peaceful, joyful, calm families,
Mhm.
we're on our way. So I do that one family at a time, and that's my contribution.
Oh, that wonderful ripple effect. Thank you
Exactly.
so much.
You're very welcome.
My heart was full at the beginning, and now I'm bursting. Thank you so much
Mm.
for all of your insightful and beautiful answers. And um, I'm not sure what to say other than I'd love to invite you to share what you're working on at the moment, how parents can work with you, what are the different ways they can work with you over there in San Diego or online. What gifts would you like to give to parents so they can work with you?
So I work privately with parents, and I do work all over the world, thanks to Zoom and everything. I have also been hired to travel, so I will travel all over the world to help families, do whatever. I my before COVID was my last beautiful project, was helping a family start a school on the island of Curacao, which was just magnificent, right?
Wow.
So I'm open to really, helping families or schools or, companies just better understand Montessori, the child, and such. Right now, a project that I've been working on for a bit is really creating what I call the parenting toolbox. So I really want to have uh, easy, digestible notions of Montessori, of mindfulness, and of minimalism, to really empower families to let go of that, parenting overwhelm, and the stress, and kind of the notion that parenting has to be hard and it has to be grueling. I really want to give you the tools so that it doesn't have to be such, that it can be really joyous, and I'm not saying easy every day, but if you have the tools, you're able to know what to anticipate, and to how to deal with any situation. So I have that, and then I also have the parenting school that I run about 3 times a year, where there it is, I do a lot of group mentoring and share a lot about Montessori, positive discipline, and such. So those are my two big kind of digital products: the parenting toolbox, and then the parenting school. And otherwise, I do a lot of one-on-one consultations.
Wonderful. And how can families get hold of you to access this wonderful work?
So my website is probably the best. It's yourparentingmentor.com. All one word, yourparentingmentor.com. There you can, there you can either book a, free discovery call with me if you're interested in working with me privately, or, sign up for the toolbox or the parenting school. I have everything there. I also have a podcast called The Art of Parenting. And
Which I've listened to. I've devoured every episode. It's brilliant.
yeah,
So
I
I'd
need
really
to.
recommend.
Yes, and I've kind of took a break this year, and I'm excited to get back. I have a lot of people I want to interview and such. So that is definitely a baby of mine that I need to take better care of right now.
So more
But yes,
coming from podcasts as well.
exactly, exactly.
Marvelous. Thank you so much for sharing so generously today. And it's been
And
my absolute pleasure to have you on the Enriching Environments podcast.
and thank you, Charlotte, for all the beautiful work that you do in really bringing peace on earth through all the beautiful work you do with families. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's really, as you said, whatever is in our heart is in our heart, and if you feel
Mhm.
called, then you feel called, and then
Exactly.
the rest is. It's not easy, but the path isn't easy, but it's actually easy doing it. It's simple. We know what needs to be done because when our heart speaks, then our heart speaks.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful day over there in San Diego. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thank you so much for joining me for the Montessori Mission. 10 questions, 10 Montessorians, 10 perspectives, 10 communities. And we'll speak soon. Thank you so
Bless.
much, friends, for joining us. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.